Welcome. Welcome back. I'm David Heathfield, and here I am with the Hands Up Project storytelling, and I'm here with you. And who are you? What's your name? Where do you live? I know there'll be lots of young people from Gaza, Palestine. Maybe there's some teachers, people who tell stories, people who love listening to stories. Well, that's everyone. Perhaps there are people from many other parts of the world. Where do you live in this beautiful world? Let me know. Tell me how old you are. Tell me where you live. I hope you can hear me. I'm very excited about today because today I'm going to tell you one of my favorite stories, and it's a story that I learned not very long ago. The story I'm going to tell you, I learned from this young woman. Can you see? She's pointing at the country where she comes from. She comes from Thailand, that's right. And her name is Pleng. Well, Pleng was studying English in Exeter, in England. That's where I live. I'm David Heathfield, and I live in England. Pleng comes from Thailand, but she was studying with me. And she told me a wonderful story. It's a story that's actually popular, not only in Thailand, but it's a story that comes from Burma. Do you know where Burma is? Let me show you. Here's Burma. Can you see? And here is Thailand. Now, Pleng, who told me the story, is very intelligent, very wise, and so is the girl in this story. Now, if you know this story, please don't tell anybody the secret, the ending, because it's a wonderful ending. It's a wonderful story altogether. Let me see who's here with me now. So we've got, hello Rita, hello Jen, hello Sirin, hello Sahar. Please write your name and where you're from. And if you're young, if you're a teenager or a child, please let me know. And if you're together as a family, please tell me everybody who's listening, because we're doing this together. And in this session, there's chances for you to talk together with your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your son and your daughter, anybody else who's in your household. These days, when most of us are closed in our houses, we can share stories through the Hands Up Project Live Facebook page. Wonderful Hands Up Project. Thanks, Nick Bilborough. So let's see who's here. Haura, Ahlam, Islam, Deborah, Nada, Mariana. Oh, from Croatia. Wonderful. How wonderful. We've got somebody from Croatia. Are you a teacher, Mariana? Or are you a teenager? Sahar, Aisha, Sirin, Sabah, Jen. You don't have to say how old you are, Jen. Oh, from Tunisia, Reem. That's interesting. Are you a student, Reem? or a teacher. Ahlam, Saha, Soha from Rafa. And Nick's here as well. Hi, Nick. Well, we're all ready to go. In the story that I'm going to tell you today, the story I learned from Pleng, there is a white stone and a black stone. And before I tell you the story, you can ask me some questions about the story. In the story, there are some characters. I'm going to show you the characters. First of all, we've got Masabe. Can you say that? Masabe. Yeah, that's right. Masabe. Masabe is a young woman. She's not rich. She has no money. She lives with her mother. And her mother is poor. They have a little bit of land which they can farm. And Masabe wants to marry a young blacksmith. They're in love. A blacksmith is a person who makes things out of metal, perhaps iron, for example, horseshoes or tools. Blacksmith. How do you say blacksmith in Arabic or in your language? You can write it, but I don't know. But maybe the other people will know when they read. Hi, Hassan, 16 years old. Hello, Yasmin. Hello, Nada. Azia. Lara. Aisha. Welcome, everybody. Now we've got the king. The king is very powerful in this story and very dangerous. And his guards. The king's guards who protect and look after the king. If you know the meaning of the word guards, write it in the comments so everybody knows the meaning. So we've got blacksmith and guards. Let's see if anyone's written how we can say those. Could you explain in the chat in case anybody doesn't know? The guards, the people who look after the king, protect the king. So what do you know about the story about Masabe? You know there's a girl, her mother. Masabe loves the blacksmith. There's the king and the king's guards. Okay. Also in the story, you know that there is a white stone and a black stone. So before I tell the story, I'd like you to ask me some questions about what happens in the story. Ask me questions about what happens. And then I will answer your questions. And then you can imagine the story. And then I'm going to tell it to you. So first of all, what questions would you like to ask me? Write your questions in the comments. Do it now. I'll just give you a minute to write all of your questions about what happens in the story before I tell you. Now let's see. Oh, blacksmith. I can see the meaning is given there. And guards. Wonderful. It's there in Arabic. But for those of you who come from other languages, perhaps you can write how to say it in your language as well. Just put the word in English and the word in your language. So now, write questions. You want to know about what happens in the story. I will tell you the answers to your questions, and then you can guess the story. Hello, Mohammed, 13 years old. It's wonderful. You'll enjoy this story, Mohammed. Let's see if there are any questions appearing. Good. Ahlam asks, can you see Ahlam's question? If you like Ahlam's question, you can click like on her question. And by the way, if you can't read the comments and you can't write on the comments, do you know why? It's because maybe you're not on the Hands Up project page. So make sure, everybody, you're not on another page where this has been shared, but you're on the Hands Up project page. And then we can all read each other's comments, questions, and ideas. So let's begin answering those questions. So the first question is from Ahlam. What is the relationship between the girl and the stones? Really good question. The king wants to marry Masabe. She doesn't want to marry the king. And he says she must choose a stone from inside a bag, like this. And if she takes the white stone, she doesn't have to marry him. But if she takes the black one, then she does. That's a good question. How old is Masabe? Well, how old are you? Masabe is young enough to live with her mother, and she's old enough to think about getting married. I think she's young. How is blacksmith? Well, I saw the word, it came up, I think it was something like Hadad. Is that right? Hadad. How old is Masabe? Thank you, Mariana. Does she get to know the king? Well, we know the answer to the first question, but does she get to know the king? At the beginning, she doesn't know the king. But the problem is that Masabe and her mother owe the king a lot of money. The king is very powerful and very bad. He makes the poor farmers who work in his land pay him a lot of tax, a lot of money, a lot of tax. So poor Masabe's mother cannot pay, and she owes a debt. She owes money to the king, and the king has power over them. Do the guards have a major role in the story? Thank you for your question. The guards, maybe they don't have a major role in the story, but they come with the king. And because the guards are there, the king has to be fair to some extent. What's the story time? Thank you. I tell folk tales, and the tales I tell from around the world are timeless. They're in no time. They could be in the past, the future, or now. But I imagine a world where there are no machines, no electricity, a world which is simple in that way. Another question, is the king fair and just or not? The answer is, Hassan, not. The king already has 300 wives. I'm going to say that again. You might not believe me. 300 wives. And he always is looking for a new wife, a beautiful new young wife. He is a cruel and greedy man. Reem, where the poor lady and the blacksmith meet. Where did they meet? I don't know. They already met before the story begins. Perhaps you can imagine. Cosimo. Hello, Cosimo. Hello, Catherine. Oh, sorry to hear your father-in-law is ill. Let's see. Any more questions? Masabe and the blacksmith from the same social level. Good question. Yes, they're both from poorer families, although a blacksmith is an important profession. Did they marry at the end? I'm not going to tell you the end. I'm not going to tell you the end. Where the king and the guards mean. The guards were not mean, but you know the king is. Is it an imaginary story? Yes, it's a folk tale, a traditional tale that's told by the ordinary people. It's imaginary, but there's no magic in the story. So this story could really happen. Maybe it did. Maybe it does. Maybe this story will happen. Another question. Let's see. Watch. Oh, it's okay, Noah. You haven't missed the beginning of the story. We're talking about some characters in the story. I'll show them again. Reem, what's the rule of the king in this story? The king says, you must marry me, Masabe. You must marry me. So I will give you, but because you say no, I will give you a chance. You must take a stone from this bag. If it's black, you must marry me. I'm just going to see if there's any more questions. What's the meaning of Masabe? It's the name of the girl in the story. The name of the poor girl who the king wants to marry. Any questions? Did the blacksmith help the girl? She had to help herself. Because Masabe is wise, because she's intelligent, Masabe doesn't need help from the blacksmith. She is resourceful. That means she helps herself. Is the king an Arab? Well, he could be from anywhere, but I did tell you this story comes from Burma, and it was told to me by Pleng from Thailand. 300 wives. Who died and hired him a king? Thank you for your questions. Now, if you are with somebody else watching this, turn to that person and tell them what you think happens in this story. If you're on your own, just think to yourself. Don't write in the chat box, not yet. I'll just give you a minute. Talk to somebody or talk to yourself about what you think happens in my story. And then in 1 minute from now, I'll begin. Yeah, go on. Is that enough time? Let's find out. The story of wise Masabe. I'm going to stop before the end. So listen carefully and imagine. If you know the end of the story already, keep it a secret. Once there was a girl, and her name was Masabe, and she lived with her mother in a poor house next to the river. She loved the young blacksmith. Now, in that land, there was a king, and the king was powerful and cruel and greedy. The king had 300 wives, but he was always looking for a new wife. One day, the king rode on his elephant, his white elephant. And there, outside the city, he saw a beautiful young woman. I will marry that young woman. He went to Masabe's home. He spoke to Masabe's mother. Your daughter will be my wife. No, said Masabe's mother. She knew how cruel and bad the king was. Please, no. She must marry me. I am the king. And you owe me money. You did not pay your tax. You owe me a great debt. Let me marry your daughter. No, said Masabe's mother. It cannot be. Oh, well, the king was angry. He left and went away on his white elephant. And when Masabe came home, her mother told her, you are not safe. The king will return. She was right. The next day, the king left his palace. He wore a turban on his head. He wore a beautiful gown. He wore diamonds in his coat. He rode on an elephant, and the elephant was painted in bright colors. When he came to Masabe's home near the river, there was Masabe, her mother, and the blacksmith standing between their home and the river. The guards followed the king, the guards in their shining uniforms. You are Masabe, and I am the king, and I will marry you. I have a game for you. Will you play? Here I have a bag. In my bag, my beautiful bag, there are 2 stones. One stone is white and one stone is black. Put your hand into the bag. If the snake is white, then you don't have to marry me. Go free. Debt is cancelled. She must not pay the money she owes me in tax. But Masabe, if you take the black stone, then you are my wife. And the debt is cancelled, and your mother doesn't have to pay the tax she owes me. What do you say? And Masabe's mother said, no, it cannot be. But Masabe, wait, mother, wait. Masabe thought, if I don't play this game, then we will still owe all of this money and this great debt to the cruel king. He will make our lives more difficult than they are now. If I put my hand in the bag, will I take a white pebble or a black pebble? But then Masabe thought, this king cannot be trusted. I am sure there are 2 black stones in his bag. So I will have to marry him. What should I do? So there were 2 black stones. Masabe knows the evil, wicked heart of the king. What should she do? What would you do? Talk to the person you're with and write, what do you think Masabe will do? Write, I want to know what you think. If you already know the story, don't tell anyone else. Keep it to yourself. I'm looking forward to reading your ideas. I love your ideas. I'm going to read them. Mustafa, you said the girl is going to marry the king. Someone is coming to create an end to the story. I wonder who's coming. What do you think, Mustafa? Who's coming? Iman, nice start. But what about the end? What's Masabe going to do? Nada, maybe the girl will marry the king. She doesn't want to have to pay. She doesn't want her mother to continue in her poverty, so poor. Sahar, I think she will marry the king. I'm afraid the king puts all black stones in the bag. Perhaps you're right, Sahar. Masabe is sure the king has put only black stones in the bag. Yes, he's a bad king. If the sound is bad, don't worry. You can always listen again. The recording will be there on the Hands Up Project website page, Facebook page. Yasmin. Mustafa, she must ask him to see the stones herself, and then she can choose one. So tell him to open the bag and show the stones. She knows he's cheating. Yasmin's got a similar idea. Maybe first she will see the stones. Cosimo, Catherine, I think she will bend down and secretly pick up a white pebble from the ground and pretend to take it from the bag. That would be so smart. If you like that idea, click on like. Hassan. Choose one. You choose one. If you pick the white one, I'm going to marry you. Ha! So she's going to switch it round. Hassan, that is creative thinking. And that's what storytelling is all about. Rim. Ask the king to show all of the public the stones. Yes, all of the king's guards are there. The king doesn't want anybody else to know his secret bad trick. Sirin. She, Masabe, is going to escape. How's she going to escape? How's she going to escape, Sirin? Yasmin. I think she's very intelligent. You're right. She's wise. Amal, the easy to do, going to escape. Iman, and trick him the same way. I love your ideas. Are you ready to hear the end of the story of wise Masabe? I think you are. Take a stone from the bag, Masabe. If you take the white stone, you don't have to marry me. You can marry that blacksmith, and your mother doesn't have to pay her debts. But if you take the black stone, then you will be my new wife, and your mother doesn't have to pay her debts. What do you say? And Masabe said, I will play. Although her mother tried to stop her, Masabe went forward. She looked at the king in the eye, and she reached into the bag, and she took a stone in her hand. And she held it closed in her hand. And then she held it tight. I will look. Oh, joy! Oh, yes! I don't have to marry the king. I don't have to marry the king. I can marry the blacksmith, and my mother doesn't have to pay. Oh, hooray! 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 And Masabe, she danced around and she threw the stone over her shoulder and into the river. What did you do? Said the king. Oh, I was so happy. I took the white stone, and in my joy, I'm sorry, great king, but I dropped it in the river. But, king, if you look in your bag, you will see that the stone that is in the bag is black, because the one I took was white. What? The king was confused. He knew that Masabe was wiser than him. Oh, he was so angry. He took his bag. He climbed on his elephant and he rode away with his guards. Masabe's mother did not have to pay her debt. And Masabe could marry the man that she loved, the blacksmith, and they lived a long and happy life. Thank you. What did you think about this ending? Masabe was so wise. I've got some questions for you. If you were here with me last Thursday, I'm going to show you the same questions, because the same questions can be asked with every story. How did she do it? She threw the stone that she held secretly into the river. Mustafa, wow, great girl, nice story. Rita, really intelligent. Reem, good girl. She's so bright, isn't she? Yasmin, amazing. Iman, then she proves that it was white by asking him to show the other one, which is surely black. This is a plot twist, you're right. Here are 9 questions. Please choose 1 or 2 questions and write the number of the question and write your answer. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just your own opinion or feeling. So here are the questions. 1. Who in your family would enjoy this story? 2. What colours was the story? 3. What sounds did you imagine during the story? 4. What surprised you in the story? 5. What did the story mean to you? 6. What did you like best in the story? 7. What didn't you like in the story? 8. Which character in the story were you? 9. How did you think the story was going to end? So choose 1 or 2 questions, any question you like. You could start with number 7, for example, whatever you like. Write down the number of the question and your answer. And when you've done that, read other people's answers. See what you think. Hi, Gobinda. Lovely that you're here. So let's read some of your answers. Jen, question 1. Your daughter would enjoy the story. Okay. Is she listening to the story now, or are you going to tell her later? And how old is your daughter? Please tell us. I didn't like the king's policy. No, he's very unfair. Is that question 7? Remember to write the number of the question. I think you're answering question number 7. Please read other people's answers as well. And if you like someone's answer, you can show that you like it. Cosimo, that's Catherine. 2. What colours was the story? Yellow, green, purple, white, silvery. So many colours. You have a very colourful imagination, Catherine. Hala. What are talking about? Which story is this? Oh, it's the story I just told, Hala. Have you just arrived? The story of Wise Masabe. Ahlan. Oh, lots of questions are coming through. Let me just go back a moment. Ahlam. Number 7. I didn't like the idea that girls are forced to marry somebody. In some parts of the world, girls can't choose who they marry. But fortunately, in most cultures, it's changing little by little. Amal, 6. What you like best? The way I described the king's clothes and the guards. Did you imagine that wonderful costume the king was wearing? Rim, what surprised me in this story was the girl's behavior. She was wise and too clever. I agree with you. What a wise girl. We need stories about wise girls and intelligent women. Laura, 2. Very bright colours with orange and blue. Bright colours. Hassan, number 5. What did the story mean? I think good values will win at the end. That's what usually happens in folk tales. Sometimes in real life as well. Sometimes. Jen, she's 24 and not listening. Write her dissertation, I hope. Oh, your daughter. Your daughter. I was thinking, who's she? Well, when she's having a break from writing her dissertation, please tell her the story of Wise Masabe. And Nada, 1. Who in your family would enjoy the story? Myself. Good answer, Nada. Who else would enjoy it in your family? And question 7, what you didn't like was the king. I don't blame you. And number 9, you thought it was going to have a happy ending. And you were right, Nada. You were right. Let's hear some more endings. Cosimo, Catherine. What did you like best? I enjoyed the twist at the end, the girl's smart thinking. I wouldn't have thought of that. Yes, it's what we call lateral thinking. In fact, Edward de Bono uses a very similar story, almost the same story, in his book from 1967 about lateral thinking. How we can look at the world in a different way to solve our problems, sometimes thinking out of the box. Sirin, 1. I'm going to tell the story to my students. Well, your students are lucky. And if there are any more teachers, I invite you to tell this story with your students and let them guess the end. What did the story mean to you? It meant to me that girls are so brave and we don't need the perfect prince to come to the rescue. We can handle it just fine. That's a fantastic answer. Girl power. Go for it, women. Sounds, I imagined, like water in the river. The happy tune of the girl at the end. The voice or the sound the horses make, the neighing, neigh, and the swords of the guards. Yes, I've got a sword here. The swords of the guards. And yeah, you like the sound of the river. Listen, I've got the river sound here. Would you like to hear the sound of the river? Can you hear? The water is running. Yes. But you imagined it in your head. Iman, I like the girl. Girls are wise, clever, and awesome. Rim, the story means so much to me. It teaches us we should calm down and act wisely when things get worse. That's so true. When we're in a panic, when we're frightened, sometimes we cannot think clearly. But Masabe, she thought so calmly and clearly, didn't she, Rim? Wonderful answers. Mariana, question 3. The sound of 2 rocks when the rock hits the water's surface. The sound of Masabe thinking what to do, and the river running over the rocks. And the sound of birds. Mariana, you imagined many sounds, and some sounds that I mentioned, like the river and the rocks, but even sounds that I didn't mention, like the singing of birds. That's because your listening, your audio imagination was very awake. Perhaps you're very musical. Mustafa, 9. The end is rational. Question 9 was, how did you think the story was going to end? Just a few more. If you like another person's answer, remember to click like on their answer to show that you enjoyed it. Mariana, the colours, purple, brown, golden, silver and green. We all imagine different colours. But most of us imagine pictures when we listen to a story. Most of us do. Not everybody. I don't. I don't imagine pictures very clearly. I'm in the story. Mustafa, 5. We should do our best to overcome any obstacle. Nothing is impossible. That's the meaning that you found in the story. If you like Mustafa's answer, click like. And Mariana, be brave and trust your intuition. Deborah. I love the girl's personality. She's amazing. I thought she would get married with the king and lock him in a dungeon or something and escape with the other wives. That would be another great story. I think Mahsabe could do that. Maybe she will. Maybe she'll get a group of women together and they will set the other wives free. And that would be the end of the tyrant king. How about that? Do you like that, Deborah? Hala, I'm super late, but I'm going to stay. You're very welcome, Hala. Colors to green. Beautiful. The sound of the women crying. Thank you, Hassan. How did you do the sound of the river? Wow. And I'm just going to read this ahlam and then we're going to continue. Mahsabe put her hand in the bag, picked the 2 stones and showed them to the people who were there. They all knew their king is a deceiver, so they all hit him and asked the guards to put him in prison. And they decided to choose Mahsabe to be their queen. Fantastic ending. Thank you for this story. You say thank you for the story. I say thank you for the story too, because without you, I cannot tell the story. I'm glad you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed the story, please tell it to others. That's what storytelling is all about.